Hi, I'm Brittany. I'm an ex-Mormon, and today I went back to church because I heard the rapture's coming this week. The Mormons do not believe the rapture's happening this week. At least nobody mentioned it. They're crazy, but they're not that crazy. Let's go over what they did talk about. Our first speaker, Miss Patty, talked about choice and accountability and emotional maturity. I thought it was a pretty good talk. She said Satan's mission is to destroy our agency. Emotions play a huge role in our choices and how we act. She said emotional maturity is a choice. And she talked about how her sister is very unkind and negative and has no emotional maturity. Sounded like a lot of drama she introduced us to in her family. I'm gonna go ahead and guess that her sister wasn't there. Then the stake president got up and he talked about how we need to be full of charity and not just nibbling on it, which I thought was a weird phrasing. He talked about how it is important how we view people because how we view them ends up affecting how we treat them. Good information. Then he told us a story about a woman who was dying of cancer and how he called Jamie, another woman in the ward, to go and serve her, get her dressed, feed her, all this stuff. She did it for 6 months straight. I'm guessing it was all unpaid labor. And then eventually the woman died. I had to do with charity, okay? He mentioned how President Nelson has announced over 200 temples, which is insane because those temples cost millions of dollars. Then I went to gospel doctrine, and today we talked about some stuff in Doctrine and Covenants about Zion's Camp, which was this group of basically Mormon militia that went to Jackson County, Missouri to try to take back over their lands and property that they were trying to develop there. And the local Missourians were not excited that the Mormons were coming in and taking over the area. So they talked about a less active woman who stopped going to church because she didn't end up with her happily ever after. So we were talking a lot about unmet expectations because that's what happened in Zion's Camp. Is they're saying that these people expected to be able to take back their homes, take back their lands, establish Jackson County as Zion. It didn't happen, and so those were unmet expectations, and a lot of people left the church because of that. Someone said we have little mortal brains. I thought that was cute. We talked about how patriarchal blessings can give us expectations, but they are very vague. So obviously we're interpreting them wrong. It's not that the church is wrong. We are wrong. Somebody mentioned how, and it was so sad listening to him because he talked about how so many things like didn't come true that he thought would. And he's like, it's all my fault though. Like, it's all my fault because God promised me these things and I didn't follow through. And that's just very sad because God didn't promise you nothing. God didn't exist, at least in my opinion, to tell you those things. So we have all these built up expectations of what's supposed to happen, especially from like our patriarchal blessings. And when those things don't come true, we put the blame on ourselves. An interesting mental gymnastic thought that some people had was that the reason that the blessings and things like that we read are so vague is so that we can have more wiggle room to make mistakes. If it was very precise, then it would be much easier for us to fail. Some things that happened at church today, I got greeted numerous times by several different people who were like, who are you? What are you here for? And I just kept it super vague. Otherwise, church was okay. Boring AF. I did take the sacrament because I am worthy. I determine my own worthiness. And also because if the rapture is happening this week, I want to be ready, right? Gotta be ready for the rapture, guys.